Hey, Adam here, hope you're well. In today's video, I'm going to cover pricing travel expenses for weddings. Of course, this includes destination weddings, how to price for travel for weddings that you're doing abroad, and I'm going to discuss that, but also I want to talk about domestically as well. So this is quite an interesting topic and it's quite an involved one. There's loads of layers to this. For example, it's going to depend on how you market yourself and how you brand your company. If you brand yourself as the Manchester wedding videographer or Manchester wedding photographer or London wedding videographer, you're probably going to attract the people in those areas. But what you're also doing is possibly alienating people that aren't in those areas, which is something to think about. And I know not everyone is interested in doing destination weddings and they just prefer to work locally for whatever reason. But if you are wanting to do destination weddings and you're wanting to open yourself up to weddings up and down the country or all over the world, it's important to establish some kind of ground rules or a framework within yourself, within your company, of how you want to price for travel expenses. And by travel expenses, I mean exactly that. Any cost that you're going to incur traveling to and from the wedding. The most important thing to remember, like anything, there's a million ways to do this. It's your business at the end of the day. You know there's no right or wrong answer. Don't worry about what someone else is charging. Just charge what makes sense to you and fits into your life. And it sounds like a naff answer, but the honest truth of it is it's your business. You can charge what you want. Anyway, but this is how I do it. So first of all, domestic weddings. For me, I'm based in the UK. This means anywhere up and down the country. If you're watching from the US, it might mean anywhere in your state, just anywhere domestically that you can travel to without having to fly or whatever. So the first thing that you want to be doing, the first tip, if you will, is to establish your own limit of how far you are willing to travel before you start charging extra. It's unreasonable to expect your bride and groom to pay for your petrol or whatever on top of the fee that you're already charging them to do the wedding when the venue is like half an hour from your house. In my opinion, that's unnecessary and it's a bit unprofessional and it's going to miff off the couple. You have a set fee for your service, and within reason, I think that travel should be included as part of that whole package. So that's the first thing I'll say. Establish your limit of how far you are willing to travel without charging any extra. Having said that, I'm based in the north of England. If someone wanted me to shoot a wedding in London, that's a good 3 or 4 hour journey for me. And then I'm wanted at bridal prep at 10 a.m. and I've got to allow for traffic and any other kind of road closures or anything like that on the journey down. That is going to potentially be like a really early start, like 5, 6 a.m. start, and a stressful journey, potentially. So in that case, I'd want to travel down the day before, stay in a hotel. I can be 10 minutes from the venue. There's no stress, no worries, but that's going to cost me and it's going to eat into my profits. Instead of that, I could have booked a wedding locally, half an hour from my house, and not eaten into any of my profits. So that's when it becomes reasonable to charge for travel expenses. And you shouldn't feel nervous or embarrassed to ask the couple for that. It's perfectly reasonable. So for me, my limit is 2 hours travel time. Any more than that, and I want to start charging travel expenses, but I will travel up to 2 hours before I start charging extra. The reason I chose 2 hour as a sort of guideline, it's not to do with the mileage or the petrol or anything like that. It's more about how long it will take me to get to and from the wedding. I don't want to be more than 2 hours away from the bride on the morning because there's too many variables there that could make me late. Traffic jams, road closures, etc., and that's unnecessary stress. I also don't want to be doing more than a 2 hour journey after the wedding as well, because I'm going to be tired, and when I'm driving back after the wedding at 10 o'clock at night, I've been doing the wedding all day and I'm driving back at like midnight and I'm nodding on the road and it's dangerous. So that's why I use 2 hours. Any more than that time and I'm booking a hotel, and of course I'm going to charge the couple for that. So now you're probably thinking, well, what do I bill the couple for? Is it for the petrol per mile, or is it for the hotel? Is it for both? With everything I do, I try and keep it as simple as possible for the couple. With everything across the business, everything I do, I try and keep things as simple as possible for the couple, and this is what I'd recommend you guys do as well. My travel fee is generally a flat £100. If it was in central London with like congestion charges and dearer prices on hotels and stuff, I'd charge 200. But generally up and down the country, I charge £100 flat fee as my travel expenses. So say you've booked your video package and it's X amount, and then I'd say, right, it's going to be another £100 on top of that for travel. This way, it's a nice round number for the couple. They don't have to worry about how much a hotel would be or how much petrol is per mile. I wouldn't put that on the couple. I wouldn't expect the couple to have to book me a hotel or figure out my petrol mileage or anything like that. I'd do that myself, but I don't even want to have to do that, you know? I don't want to have to do that maths and work it out and charge them exactly what it is. I'd rather just have a nice flat round number. It's easier for everyone. The couple don't have anything to think about. Basically, as little maths for the couple to do as possible, because I want to make the booking process as simple and as easy for them as possible. As little effort on the booking process as I possibly can. You know, if you've got a couple that wants to book you and the booking process is effort, it could frustrate them and it could cause them to look elsewhere, and you don't want that. So to make your fee something nice and simple, a round number that includes everything, I could probably charge more, but I know with £100 I can get a Premier Inn anywhere in the country for 40, 50 quid. 50 quid worth of petrol is more than enough, so it's a nice round number that should include everything. It seems like a reasonable amount. It's not too much to expect from the couple. That's domestic weddings. For destination weddings, you've obviously got a lot more to think about logistically, and I would always push for a meeting with my destination couples to go over the travel plan. That way they know where you're going to be, you can manage their expectations around that, and also they might be putting on airport transfers for the guests or shuttle buses to and from the venues, because the guests are going to have the same travel issues as you are, so they probably are putting on stuff for their guests, and you can just hop in. If they've got a shuttle bus for the guests, you can just jump on the back of that and save a bit of money there. Or they might have suggestions on where to stay, i.e. the hotel where all the guests are going to be, or the hotel where the bride's getting ready. And you know, if you meet them and have those discussions with them, you can probably work out a way of shaving off some of your expenses so that it's saving money for them. It's also making your life a little bit easier as well. So it's definitely worth discussing with those couples. But in terms of charging for destination weddings, the same rules apply, just on a bigger scale. I would normally charge my usual fee for whichever wedding package. It's going to be X amount, and then I would charge £500 travel expenses all-inclusive kind of fee on top. Again, flat fee, all included, nice round number, dead easy on the couple, dead easy for the couple to know how much they're going to be paying. And you could even word it as your travel's going to be £500 and it's all included. You don't have to bother looking at flights and hotels. I'll sort that for you. Don't worry about that. You know, you're making that booking process as easy as possible for the couple. Why 500 quid? Obviously, it's give or take. It depends on the wedding. If the wedding was in Australia or America or the other side of the world, flights are going to be a lot dearer for me, so I would want to adjust that price accordingly. But what I'd normally do is shop around at flights and hotels, and come up with a rough figure, round it up, and get a nice round figure. Generally, if I'm going to get a destination wedding inquiry, it's going to be somewhere around Europe, Italy, Spain, France, etc. So I know that with 500 quid, I can get a cheap flight, couple of nights accommodation, an airport transfer or a car hire or something like that. I'm not taking the mick out the couple. I wouldn't expect them to pay for more than a couple of nights accommodation. I wouldn't say like I want a week in Spain and you're paying for it. You can't really ask for more than 2 or 3 nights accommodation, the night before the wedding, the night of the wedding. So yeah, £500 just seems like a fair round number to get my flights, my accommodation, and maybe a car hire. Having said that, do bear in mind that with destination weddings, there is a lot of travel involved. If it's over a weekend, you could have possibly booked 2 weddings at home instead of this one. And you're probably going to need spending money for food and drinks, etc. And there's always little costs that end up creeping in that you didn't account for. So they're not always the most profitable, really. But what you do get is some great portfolio content. You get the experience of traveling around the world and going to all these amazing locations that you've never been before, seeing new places, you know, eat into your profits a little bit. Spend the money yourself and stay an extra few nights and make a holiday out of it. They're brilliant. I love doing them. But again, that's up to you. Again, I'll reiterate the point that you should charge whatever makes sense to you and whatever you're going to feel comfortable with. But I think as long as you've got a figure that covers your flights, your accommodation, airport transfers or car hire or something like that, round that figure up so it's nice and easy, nice round number for the couple. That's a reasonable ask, and hopefully the couple will go for it and you're going to get to shoot some amazing weddings and locations. That was a lot to get through. Hopefully this has answered at least some of these kind of questions. I see people asking about this topic all the time, and I want to cover it comprehensively because it's important one. I don't want to miss anything out. So if there's anything that I have missed, please do ask in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you for getting to this point and watching all the way through. If you think that there's anyone that would benefit from this video, share it with them. Until next time, love you loads. Bye.